and other applications, I guess, and ADT Power Management in Greensboro. I worked with Mike and John, and I've been with the company since June 16th.
Wonderful opportunity for you. Netsuite's such a great ERP to jump into, and you know have found it to be very user friendly. You know, one of the great things about you guys, I'm preaching the choir here. You know, you don't need IT to be able to do a lot of things with NetSuite on the end game. So I appreciate Mike being here and NetSuite support for what we're trying to get started here, and NetSuite support for the ongoing product. So everybody knows Mike, right?
Yeah,
Tina knows him.
we do.
Tina knows Mike. Lauren knows Mike.
Good to meet you, Mike Walker. NetSuite.
Hey guys, there's a small, sorry, another comment or housekeeping. There's a small refrigerator back here. If there's water and soda in there, if you need something to drink, please help yourself. So.
I'm Matt Brewer. I'm our applications analyst here at Lionel. I work a lot in NetSuite for our shipping operations.
Yeah, if you guys need, anything on the shipping side, Matt's been our key go-between Oslink, which, because they're shipping software and bolted it on. So he's certainly going to help you with any questions you may have about how we're doing that, those kind of things.
I'm Jonathan. I'm NetSuite support.
I'm Deanna Jarrett, and I also do NetSuite support here at Lionel.
Mike Schmatzek, run IT at ABT Power Management.
Amy Wilson. I manage all them. trying to manage NetSuite.
I'm John Barnes, and I work with Mike and Tina.
I'm Laura. I work for a company called Double Radius, and Double Radius. It's a wireless distribution company. I do all the web stuff, so we actually moved over to a third-party platform and integrated it back into NetSuite. So, kind of managing all of that all together. Been kind of a process.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Julie Kelly. I work for Encompass. We're a solution provider for NetSuite, so I'm the customer service director.
Okay, great.
And I helped co-author the NetSuite for Dummies book.
Great.
Really?
You helped co-op for what?
The NetSuite for Dummies book. We've got a couple of copies here.
Yeah, I have it with me right now. You want to check that out?
There you go. There's your name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Published. Yeah, that's not really good.
Well, you could probably retire then.
It's number one bestseller.
Got your name on a book. That's pretty good.
Okay, so, and Julie, we've got soft drinks and water in the fridge over here if you'd like something.
Help yourself.
Yeah, just help yourself. We also have chocolate chip cookies here to eat at some point too. So. Okay, so we want to talk about what do you guys hope to get out of this local NetSuite user group community? Just kind of in general, if you just want to speak up and we'll start taking notes. We just want to make sure that we are meeting meeting the needs and have great focus. What I would like to get out of this is kind of what we've done so far. Laura did a great job of starting this up from scratch. I just want to meet more NetSuite users in the area and see what kinds of things they're encountering in their NetSuite instances, what kind of solutions they've come up with, what creative things they've done in NetSuite that maybe we can use in our own company. We're always on the lookout for really new clever ways to make it do what we want it to do. One of the cool things about NetSuite is how customizable it is, and it's really amazing seeing what other people have come up with. So just people bounce ideas off of and see what you're doing. That's what I hope to get out of it.
Yeah, and let me build on that. And for everybody, and Amy's hit the nail on the head with what we hope to get out of these things. Besides getting the camaraderie and meeting everyone, is we'll sit here and scratch our heads and go, well, this new opportunity has come up. How do we want to handle it? Well, maybe we don't need to reinvent the wheel because somebody's probably also had this challenge before, or this opportunity before. Let's go figure out if anybody we knew locally has had and how they're doing it. We reach out to Mike, we reach out to our partner and say, we can't be the first ones to be thinking of trying to do this. So help us figure out how to do it instead of us scratching our head and starting from the bottom line and going up. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to exchange ideas and concepts.
And so some of the things to kind of just get your brains firing, are you looking for education about NetSuite? Are you looking more for, a social thing, business networking, anything like that? What kinds of are you hoping this will be a voice to NetSuite of what we want in our area or by our users? So these are kind of things to get you thinking about it. Anybody else got any ideas?
I mean, one reason I'm here is to learn about pitfalls, what's coming and where can we have problems trying to implement. You hear from other folks, just so we have an awareness of what to anticipate.
And John is, as CFO for ADT, and they're getting ready to start the implementation. I'd asked Chris Elrod, our CFO, to step out as the schedule allows, and he'll be able to come in and answer any of your guys' questions on, the startup and the challenges we went through, and things you're concerned about on the financial side. Just say, hey, we did it this because of that, we did this, or we didn't do that, whatever. So feel free when Chris gets here to use them as best you can.
Hey, Mike, my pen is dying. I don't suppose you have a nice NetSuite pen I could use, do you?
Or maybe
It's
one
really-
for
it really is
everyone.
dying.
One of my tech guys came over and go, hey, my iPhone just died. Can I get an iPhone 6? Oh, that's interesting. Your iPhone just died.
Thank you, Mike.
Somehow it fell on the concrete floor and it died, right?
Yeah, that's about what happened. He dropped it.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Russ, we,
Mine's faulty.
Coffee, throw it away. Grab another one.
There you go.
yeah,
Here we go.
NetSuite.
we're just getting
Not
ready
right.
to embark on our configuration next week. We signed the contract with NetSuite a year ago, so we've had a lot of things we've gone through. We had to replace the original NetSuite professional services team. We've had to change field service vendors that's being integrated with it. So we've gone through a lot of sort of trials, but some of the stuff we were talking about at lunch is we're just facing different challenges and decisions, and it's great to know what other folks have done in those same situations. And one example too is where we have not contracted to purchase a sandbox at this point. So how do you think we're unwise to proceed without having a sandbox? And so that's something I'd like to find from the whole group. If 100% or close to it of everyone else is using one, saying, yeah, you really need one, that helps gives us ammunition to make a case to go back to me and say, it's really worth the expense. We really need to do this. So,
Laura, what's your opinion on sandboxes?
Well, I don't know what this thing I have access to particularly is because I got it for the developer side of it. But you can request access to this developer test environment thing, and but we don't have to pay for it, so I don't know really
That's
what.
not a sandbox, so that's just if you're part of our development.
I was going to say, are you an integration partner?
Yeah, if you're in that, you get what are called developer accounts, the instances of NetSuite with pre-populated data to where you can run tests. And they're verticalized. So
That is a cool feature.
huh?
I said that is a cool feature.
Like our field service vendor in the side, they've got a development account as part of that. Is that what you're speaking about? Or are you saying that there are folks that help just perform testing?
No, those are developer accounts, so you can go in there and test certain integrations with the outside application and test it in that
So it's not
environment.
for software code, right?
It
The developers
is.
network is.
Right, and then our partners like Encompass use them to if they're working with a customer or a new customer that does not have a sandbox, they may use that to do some testing, whether it's scripting or how transactions flow. But when it goes back to the sandbox, and I'll just add my observations when rising, I've got just over 600, close to 700 customers that my partners work with, and they're dispersed across North America. And I don't have the exact statistics, but a lot of the companies do have sandboxes, especially the super heavy users, and they use them throughout the year when they're bringing on new folks for training. So it's a great way to use it for training, so they're not going to muck up the real environment. I've got more customers than I realize that have multiple sandboxes because they're using one for training environment, one for testing, for applications integration, and then for larger organizations that have got actual development teams that are really trying to expand and stretch NetSuite. They'll have a third sandbox with that team uses. But then again, you know, like I said, there are a lot of customers that just don't even use a sandbox. So it's all really what you guys are looking for and what the needs are.
What portion has them versus does not have them, would you guess?
You know, I would say new customers, we're probably at 65 to maybe 75% are getting them. Right. Yeah, for implementation purposes, right? Because, you know, I think whether you're implementing with NetSuite Direct or implementing with a partner, I think there needs to be some ownership and collaboration, because a lot of the implementations break down when it's, okay, you know, the prospect or customer says, all right, Mr. Partner, implement this. Well, it's one-sided then, right? It needs to be together, y'all are working together, right? There's some ownership, right? The partner's leading the charge, or NetSuite Direct PS is leading the charge. But there's got to be some ownership taken from the users of NetSuite, because that's just going to, you know, get them immersed into the product versus getting everything configured, and now you're like, well, I don't, you know, this looks all foreign to me. So it's more of our newer customers. As for our existing customers, it's the percentage drops drastically with the ones that continue. It's those ones that are expanding their footprint and trying to stretch NetSuite, or they've got a high turnover. Maybe they're seasonal. They got seasonal employees at Christmas time, and they bring on 100 people, or they'll have a sandbox then because they don't want those 100 people mucking up their live environment. Get them trained, and then they give them access to the live environment.
Mike, when we started down the conversion / implementation path, I wasn't in favor of the sandbox, and I got talked into it. It was probably the best advice I took. One of the best advice I took going into this, because we found basically gives us the opportunity to test as we're changing things. Now, we modify some things. We're doing some script development, we're doing some workflow development, and try to augment some of the things that NetSuite does to meet how we want to operate as a company. So, and that's once again, the beauty of NetSuite, you can do that. But then as you're kind of bending it a little bit, you need somewhere to make sure you're not breaking as you bend it. The other thing we found out, once again, NetSuite's tremendously wonderful in configuration setting. But we found out, and maybe it's in the NetSuite for Dummies book, the implications of changing those configs isn't always well documented. So you go and go, wow, this says use average cost all the time, or one we were talking about this morning. Where we
use item costs for transfers.
Use item costs for transfers. And there was another one. It doesn't tell you what happens when you unclick that. And so we found out it was in our best interest that when we were changing configs like that we needed to go back and test it in the sandbox and see what the implications were. One that was really dramatic to us when we changed the bill before shipping.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a configuration that says bill before. Is that a bill before shipping?
Yeah, bill before fulfilling. Yeah.
Or bill before fulfilling, as we do on our e-commerce site. And we thought, well, if we bill before we fulfill, then if the credit card rejects, we have to undo that fulfillment and everything else. So we got, well, this is easy. Let's change that configuration. And so we did, and we found out when you unclick that, that means it will bill everything on the invoice, or on the order, whether you have it or not. Now, it's just one of the things inside NetSuite that we didn't know about.
We kind of assumed it only bill what was committed. If we check that, bill before, allow billing before fulfilling. So we thought it would only bill what was committed, and it bills everything.
It bills the entire order, whether you have it on hand or not. We go, well, that's not how we want it to work. So we put it back. But I mean, it's those kind of things that, like I said, maybe you have it all documented.
But that's not a logical thing. Why would NetSuite have that? Doesn't make any sense why they would do that.
There are, you will find those kind of things, John. It's,
like the accounting type.
Yeah, it's, Mike, it might have been here, somebody was telling me, oh no, it's Angela said the big brains at NetSuite.
She said a lot of this stuff was, developers who didn't understand accounting. To them, it made logical sense to do it this way, and that's how it got implemented. And
right,
yeah.
So I mean, anyway, so back to the sandbox. So we found out just by trial and error some things that you wouldn't logically go, doesn't mean this or this. But to somebody else, it was logical that you did it that way. It's not to the rest of the world.
Right.
Good, that's helpful.
Yeah. You know, one thing that Chris mentioned to us last time is that you might pull a report out of NetSuite. I might pull one thinking I'm pulling the same, looking for the same data, and we might get two different results. And that's kind of hard to figure out.
So, you know, and that's resident in any ERP that you have, because you come, and a great example, I've seen this over years
Can I
and
give
years
my
and
favorite
years.
example?
Pardon?
Can I give my favorite example?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, this tells you how easy it is to do this, totally unintentionally. Our president, Howard, said, I need to know how much we did in online store sales fourth quarter last year. So he ended up getting, people were trying to be helpful. He ended up getting like 4 different reports back that all said something different, right?
It seems like a straightforward question.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
Online store sales for the fourth quarter last year, right? And so he, of course, gets, in a tizzy, why do none of these numbers match? What are you people doing? And does nobody know what's going on here kind of thing? And so I started looking into it. And, one person had pulled total net online store sales, right? Product, sales tax, shipping and handling, the whole thing, right? Everything. Here's our gross online store sales. Another person did something similar, but they netted out any returns for online store for the same quarter, right? Because they're thinking, okay, well, this deducted from our income, so, it wasn't revenue, I'm going to take out the returns. Another person said, well, obviously he just wants to know product, revenue. He doesn't care about shipping and handling and tax. I'm going to take those out. So it's very, very easy to end up with 4 different results for something you think should be very simple. You need to be very clear on, what you're getting at Netsuite and what you're providing to people so that they have the information to make good decisions. It's like one of the biggest pitfalls of bad data is not knowing that you have bad data in the first place.
Not bad data definition, but I mean, back to, and Amy's right, that's a great example. But that's inherent in any system.
Yeah.
Your definition of sales is different from John's, different from mine. So you guess 3 different IT people for reporting sales, you get 3 different reports. One of the things that we've started here, we call it one version of the truth. So any key report like that's going to be used company-wide, we develop and publish when you say sales, this report will give you sales, meaning gross sales.
Right.
And we have a naming convention. We put an asterisk in the front of all the kind of company approved reports. And we have a document on the server that details, these are all the reports that we have kind of vetted and have good data in them. And this is what it provides to you. It has, total, gross sales for this, for the time period, including sales and shipping and, sales tax and shipping and handling and, anything like that, anything specific to locations or any filters that you use, sales channels, anything like that, that is part of the report configuration. We detail that in this document that we keep out on the server so people can pull the report and know what they're looking at.
And they can modify it. We certainly give them the liberty of, hey, if you want net sales, then you can take the gross sales report and put in the other components or take out the components you don't want and call it your own. But at least they have, like I said, the one version of the true starting point.
Does NetSuite allow documentation with your reporting? Like, now you can click on field and it'll most of the time give you a description of what the field means.
Right.
I've wondered, can we add our own descriptions?
Yeah, we do add custom fields. There's 2 fields. One of them is description, which you might put your information there thinking that it's going to pop up in that box, but it doesn't. You want the box that says help text or help, something like that. That's what's going to pop up in that little help window. So you can do that when you add new fields.
So the existing ones you can't.
No, you can't. You can't modify the existing ones, but you can put in your own for your fields.
That'd be a great enhancement request to take back to
It probably
It's been
already
existing for a long time, existing enhancement. But they do have sticky notes now, the sticky notes on the so you can, it's not, I don't know, look and feel. I don't know what you were looking for, but it's
Do you use
along the
sticky
same
notes?
idea. One of our clients uses sticky notes. It's a different kind of idea that you can share your note on a record. I don't Yeah, because I haven't used it and tested it fully myself, I couldn't tell you, but it's something to look into.
All right.
And you can vote on the enhancement, I just know that it's been out there for a long time.
Now you have more people to vote on it and be like, hey, everybody, go vote on it. Group power.
Instead of it saying this field is used for so-and-so, it should say, if you just clicked on this, then you should not have. You need to go to this field.
Don't touch this at
So
all.
you may not want to modify, maybe they'll extend it, so have to use the defined portion.
ABT, and then our note.
I used to work in the tech writing, so I worked on the documentation, and when I was a part of that team, I thought, well, why would they want to customize the help? Like, we know how it works. We got it directly from the, now that I'm on the other side, oh, now that makes total sense to me. Yeah.
Anybody else thoughts on what you'd like to get out of the group?
One of my main reasons for starting this up was because my company was looking to me for a lot of stuff, and I was like, well, I'm not an expert. So I was like trying to reach out to just anyone who wanted to like talk about NetSuite and see like kind of where I could pull resources from, because this is the sole book on NetSuite.
Yeah,
You go on Amazon, this is the only one.
And it's outdated.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you guys are going to update.
Yeah, are you gonna run another one?
I'm not, no.
So this
Feel like
is-
I'm done with that.
I was gonna say,
And I kind of have a hard time to like try to find different stuff online. I've kind of begged the people on Stack Overflow sometimes just to answer some of my questions. So it kind of is a helpless feeling not to have like kind of resources that you can reach out to. So I just thought this would be a great kind of group to establish just for a local like contact to have people to reach out to, so you don't feel helpless and alone in those moments.
Yeah, it's a good goal. And the NetSuite User Group, the forum out there is a great place for information. But yeah, you don't always get answers in a timely fashion out there. Maybe the kind of answers you were looking for. So,
Actually, there's the general NetSuite User Group on LinkedIn, and someone had posted, they were from New Zealand, and they had sort of a similar situation we're facing with field service vendor selection. And so I responded to it, and it said it's being reviewed by the moderator, whatever, and I don't know if I'd still see it posted. It's been about a week.
I have to say though, the regular NetSuite forum has gotten a lot better. Like, I started working on this probably around 5 years ago, and at first it was just like shouting in an empty room. No one would answer you. But now you actually have like admins will be like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna answer your questions. It's like, yay, finally. So it has improved from when I first started. So good resource.
NetSuite forum.
No.
yeah, if you click on the support tab up the top of NetSuite, one of the options on the left is the NetSuite User Group forums, and you can click on there, and you have to submit what your your login to NetSuite, what your email address is, and they'll verify that you do have a NetSuite login account, and then they'll give you a password and you can get in. And it's a great forum. They've got it broken out to different topics, so you can go look at configuration stuff, e-commerce, whatever, and it's very helpful.
The support page is pretty good. It has
The sweet answers.
pretty
Nice. Yeah.
in-depth
Yeah.
descriptions.
Yeah. So if we do manage to get this to be a recognized NetSuite user group, we're going to need to fill at least some spots as far as management of the group and stuff like that. So if you're willing to hold a spot on the steering committee or board, whatever they want to call it, let Laura or myself know, and we'll let you know when we're ready to. As a group, I imagine we'll vote on those positions and things like that, but we'd like to know level of interest.
Mike, does NetSuite have, I don't know how they recognize these groups. Do they say each group needs to have a minimum of 10 members or something?
Yeah, well, there's a minimum. It is a very laborious process though to get the recognition and the paperwork. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I got it.
Now,
Yeah, and they don't say, like, they don't have like requirements, like specific things, that, you know, we suggest that each group nominate or elect a board of directors. We suggest these positions. We suggest 1 to 2 year terms. I mean, it's,
right. Are they also suggesting
It's crazy.
incorporation as well?
pardon?
Are they also suggesting incorporation as a not-for-profit?
I do believe I read that in here somewhere, yes.
Wow, that's pretty.
That's,
Yeah,
Well, good, they're taking it seriously.
they are.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, the good news is they're not for profit. You can get your own NetSuite instance for free.
Yes, exactly. That is
Oh,
one.
sandbox.
You
You
actually
get
get,
another NetSuite implementation. for
yeah,
the
you actually,
users.
NetSuite would provide a production account and a demo account, it looks like, for each user group.
We can use that for our sandbox.
Mhm.
All right. I'll do
I
it.
think we have to share it with everybody.
I'll put some useful things on there.
We'll build our own.
Yeah,
Oh, that's another thing.
super cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just hack into it, figure that out.
Finished it.
Yeah, so there are only a certain number of groups allowed in each kind of, you know, they have like, they'll want one group for each metropolitan area, and there's nothing for this area yet, so we're pretty much, can be us.
Do we have you may already have this, Mike can provide it. Do we have a listing of all the NetSuite users in this general area?
I think we've asked for that before, and we're told that they can't really provide that.
They won't provide it. I think they will reach out to them on your all's behalf, right?
Okay.
They'll send notices. So if you say, hey, we're having our next meeting, January 15th, then they'll blast it out.
So we'd actually have to like hold the meetings when we say we're going to, instead of, moving around the date and the timing.
Right. Right.
I guess we're gonna have to get better about that.
I would like us to do that and list NetSuite's help and try to increase this meeting group. But I don't know if I feel somewhat left open if we did. All of a sudden we got
Yeah.
220 people out of it, like going, okay, we're here. I mean, do they tell you we sent this notice out to 6 companies or 60 companies?
RSVP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a cap.
I don't know if they do it by designated primary account person or if it's by contacts for every company. So I'll have to ask that, but I would suspect that it's every customer has a designated primary contact person.
Are you over like southeast?
I used to be. I was redeployed. I'm over Texas now. But
Did you get lost?
did I get lost here? No, I still live here in North Carolina, down the road.
What happened, Mike? Did you tell me about that? I just don't remember.
I don't think I did tell you that. So it happened.
Well, who do we complain to about that? I don't know. Texas is not a state I'd want to go to right now.
And I'm scheduling my trip to Dallas the first week of
I'll be
November. So, yeah, I think it was effective in May. Or it was during May. It was at Sweet World. That's right. You weren't at Sweet
Yeah,
World. You made it. Yeah. So it was actually effective June 1. That's when I cut over.
So who's our new rep here?
Well,
that
I'm tethered.
Lionel?
I'm tethered to the partner. So whatever your partner is, that's
Okay.
Okay,
So-
all right, that's all. Well, good.
so. I'll still.
Who's the partner?
Give me my partner.
What's that?
Well, he's
Right,
tied to 6 Red, right? And
Right.
Lon. That's how
That's
we're
right.
tied to you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So Julie, she's with one of our top partners as well, Compass, and I used to work with Compass for a couple of years. So in the NetSuite community, we've got 2 channels, right? We've got partners that sell NetSuite and do the implementation, and then we've got NetSuite Direct that has a sales team and a PS team that sells and implements NetSuite. And I believe you guys work with a direct rep, right?
Like a bar.
Right, yeah, it's like a bar, right. But we call them partners, right? Solution providers. So that's how our customers are managed at NetSuite.
Partners are in this area.
In this area, we've got I think 3 or 4 in Raleigh, known in the Triad, and then
Are you allowed to say who they
3 are. Of course, I can say who they are.
Gotta go whisper.
You could Google them too. But yeah, no, so
Are they
we've
on the
got,
website under
yeah,
partners?
no, we don't publish them. So for instance, in Raleigh, we've got Ashna, we've got Capital Business Solutions, and we got, what used to be Low Miller, and now is 360 Cloud Solutions. Okay, and here in Charlotte, we've got Encompass, who's one of our top partners. We've got, there's a sales rep from Epiphany here in Charlotte. I don't know who Mike Wakefield is with, but he's
Keystone.
Keystone, yeah. So he's here in Charlotte.
David might have loved me over 360 quite a bit in the world.
I think there's a Del Boomi rep here, isn't there?
There is, yeah, and Dell, there's a Dell rep, right? That's right. Eric Myers is based here in Charlotte. So, there's,
Is McGladrey?
no, McGladrey's not here. They're looking at either an office in Charlotte or Atlanta. I think
They're currently in
more towards
Chicago,
Atlanta.
aren't they?
They're everywhere. They're distributing themselves across
I
the
think I
US.
talked to a couple reps, they were in Chicago.
Yeah.
McGladrey, the accounting firm?
Yes, they've got a NetSuite practice. So, it's just like anything else. If you're working with NetSuite Direct and you've got a great relationship, you gotta wonder, does it make sense to change? If you've got a great partner, a good working relationship, there again, there's not a lot of change or turnover there either.
Okay, anything else on just the management of the user group, any other input that you guys want to give before we move on?
Is everybody still fine with LinkedIn for communication? Any problems? I think you were asking about the announcements thing.
Yeah.
That's an admin feature.
Okay.
I'll add you to the admin groups.
Okay.
So you can make this, but you can only
Yeah, I
make
was
them
trying
once a
to
week.
find it, yeah, I was trying to find it, but I couldn't do it. So I just posted another message.
Yeah, it was funny when I mentioned, I was like, I really wish there was a feature that I could just communicate to everyone instead of just making a post, because a lot of the time people don't see those.
They do the, what do they call it? Where they only get a notice once a week that posts have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they don't, yeah.
So
Unless you have your account in LinkedIn set up so that you get posts daily, you're not going to see it for a week or so.
I think the announcement will just email everyone directly.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think. That's what it told me. Unless you just told it, unless you set your settings to where it's don't bother me ever, then you'll never get notifications.
Can I get added to that? I don't think I'm on that. Or do I have to do something?
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
You join a group on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you're on that, Mike? I guess that's how you're getting notifications.
And Tina's on there now too. Okay, there were a few things that I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. Just kind of interested in your experiences with the recent NetSuite upgrade. If people wanted to talk some about what they've seen and what they thought was really cool about the latest upgrade, things that they encountered that they want to let people know about.
What version is that? Do you happen to know?
Well, they do them twice a year. So each year it's like this year they had 2014.1 and 2014.2. Next year they 2015.1 and 2015.2. So this was the second one of the year.
I don't want to surprise anybody.
Yeah.
So what is this version going to be called?
Yeah, it's actually consistent. I like it like that. It's consistent.
So typically what time of year is it consistent?
Spring and fall.
Okay.
Yeah, spring and fall. And they roll out over the course of 2 months, Mike, roughly?
Well, if you include us, it's probably like 3.5, 4 months.
Yeah.
Because we were the first to get it.
Yeah, John's usually April and September.
Mm-hmm.
So we may come April, we may have a new.
They do, NetSuite does a nice job. They'll give you.
They give you a month or two in with
preview on tips
with a
of
preview
what's
account.
coming.
Where what they've done is they've taken a snapshot of your regular account, just like they do for a sandbox, but they've upgraded it with the upgrade. So you can go into this beta account and test out your usual stuff, do some regression testing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll give you early release of just quick tips on here's what's coming, the changes, and then you get a more detailed breakdown of what those changes represent. And as Amy said, you actually can go into your own data and kick the tires.
And we do that as well. We get into it early. As soon as they allow us to, we are in it, banging on it to minimize disruption. You'd be surprised how many customers do not take advantage of that.
We honestly are slack about it. I didn't get in there till like the week before we were due to upgrade. And I was,
It's too late.
yeah, yeah.
Should be more proactive about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the release notes and the sneak peek and stuff like well ahead of time, so I kind of knew it was coming, but I didn't get in there and, yeah, try it out. But yes, they did. The big thing with this one was the new user interface, which, as I understand, you guys probably have more information about the ultimate purpose of it. I know it was to freshen it, and they were trying to reduce the amount of left-right scrolling in a lot of cases. So they've changed a lot of the look and feel. I was asking when I was on the phone with NetSuite one time, support case. I was asking what their feedback was. I have like 3 different support reps, and the one was like everybody hates it. One was like everybody loves it.
You're always going to have someone that hates
Yeah.
something.
But it was interesting. I guess some of the most feedback I've gotten is a lot of white space. That it seems like a whole lot more white space now.
Yeah.
I
Good or
like
bad?
to me, it's wasted space on the screen.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like the less left to right scrolling, but there's a whole lot more up down scrolling now. I do like on the drop downs at the top. It used to be that if you were on laptops, you had a small screen and your drop down went below your screen. It was really, you couldn't get down there to those bottom options. Now they have a down arrow at the bottom where it'll kind of scroll up all the other options. That was a great feature. I really like that.
Use the horizontal field labels preference. Helps with the white space on forms.
Really? So you can put it back to horizontal? Oh, that's good to know. Where is that in the general preferences?
Yes.
That's probably the sneak peek tips that we can read.
Probably.
And why do you want to eliminate left to right scrolling? Once you go so far, you can't see the
Yeah.
last edge, what was there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of scrolling back and forth. Like, I want to see this field over here, and then I have to go over here. Like,
And
keep
there's nothing in
scrolling. Yeah.
between. Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't, once you scroll this far, you've lost whatever that key.
Just like an
indicator
Excel
was.
spreadsheet would be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can't lock rows or columns
Yeah, I
with
got you.
this.
that would be a cool feature.
That would be very cool. Very cool. I do like the filters and some of the stuff moving to the top of the screen from the bottom for the searches and stuff. I think that's really handy. I do like a lot of stuff they put into place. I think my most frustrating thing with the new user interface is that horizontal scroll bar that disappears across the bottom periodically. That drives me back.
You guys see that, Mike? She's talking about?
I do. What browser do y'all use?
Chrome. We had to stop using Internet Explorer here. It was just so, it doesn't play nice with NetSuite at all,
No, it doesn't.
especially with the slave upgrade.
I'm not familiar with Chrome. I use Mozilla.
Mm-hmm.
What I've noticed when my bar disappears, I'll just go to Control. Maybe it's in Chrome as well. Control plus or minus.
Yeah.
To shrink my screen and then.
We do the same thing, yeah. If you minimize or
Right.
shrink it down a little bit and then maximize it, you get your scroll bar back. But yeah, it's annoying when it suddenly disappears.
And it's interesting
No, go ahead.
that you mentioned that because I had a problem using Chrome. I had to use Internet Explorer. And the reason was.
The first ever instance.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not laughing at you, too. I'm laughing, holy cow, it's just the opposite of everything we've seen.
Well, what happened to us was it tries to save your password, even if you don't tell it to. So if you have, in our case, we had a training account and a production account. And Mike saw that I logged into one or the other, but I was seeing the information out of the opposite one. I don't know. It was like it was confused based on the login or something.
Yeah.
But it didn't do it in Internet
I see that in the
Explorer.
essentials training, and it was almost like they were syncing the credentials from the training database to our production database. I was
Yeah.
like, why would there be any relevance between those two?
Well, if you have, like, we see this as partners, you've got to log into multiple different customers' NetSuite accounts, then, usually at the top where you can click your drop down and change your role, you can also change companies that you're logged in as. So maybe it was that you were logged in either as the training account or your regular account.
Well, the training account had totally different credentials. The login name was actually the trainer.
Oh,
And the
okay.
password was like training 1. And our production site had my own name and.
So it wasn't linked to
password.
your email. Your training site wasn't linked to your email at all. That's interesting.
No, but
Did you
that's what
create
we
a
saw.
profile in the training with your new email address? That wasn't one of part of your activities? Did you do that?
Maybe.
Because if you do that, right, so you're in as a trainer, as an administrator, and then all of a sudden maybe you create some employees, and one of the exercises is to create, with your email address, then it would show up. That's where the profile would, like Amy said, show up in the drop-down box. If you added yourself as an employee in the test environment, and you gave them your true email address.
What we've done, and I don't know if it's feasible for you guys, between the sandbox and our production environment, we've recommended that people go in and change the color config layout. So there's no confusion on which one I'm in. Hey, if I'm in the red one, that means I'm in the test environment. I'm in the white one, I'm in the production environment.
When you were saying they automatically create a copy when you have an upgrade, so you can go in and see, how does that work if you've got the same credentials in
I
both?
think they actually provide you with a link.
Yeah.
Totally different. Yeah. It's totally different web address and
It's
everything.
normally like netsuite.beta.com or something like that.
That's good. Then.
Now, have any of you all tried the new UI on a tablet?
I think I've done it on my Nook, yeah.
That's where a lot of people say it's exciting. I'm not a tablet guy. I like my laptop.
Yeah.
But where the buttons are.
I've done it with my mobile phone too.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Well, I've done it before whenever I was trying to update something on our website, it kind of got kind of difficult because I had to zoom down. So it'll be interesting to see if
It
that.
was easier, I admit, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, it was
new
easier.
UI versus
Yes,
the old
The new
with
one
tablet.
is easier on tablet and mobile
Yeah.
format. It is. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that was the main reason for the changes.
yeah.
Updates on the go.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we've got a mobile community. I mean,
We've got a lot of folks at NetSuite that use their iPhone and get into NetSuite and do stuff,
Mhm.
group orders.
Yeah.
Use it a lot.
Yeah, the good news is that, and we ended up somehow, I think it was our request actually a few upgrades ago, we had requested we put on the front of the queue because of our conversion, or whatever we were getting ready to implement at the time, we needed to have that under our belts and moving forward. So we asked to be put at the front of the queue for the rollout, and I think we ended up staying towards the front of the queue, which we want to be put back again. But the good news is that, that first couple of weeks there, and we encountered a lot more things that messed us up this time around than any of the other previous upgrades. But when we called NetSuite about them, in most of the cases, NetSuite already knew about them. They were already working on them, and they were all resolved within a week or two. So they are really prompt about fixing things during the upgrades, which is good. Those people must be putting in an insane amount of hours.
Yeah, the only real issue that we kind of ran into, and this was just configuration, was some of our forms, the fields just kind of just made the page just go ridiculously long. So I just had to break them to have more columns, so it wasn't just
Yeah.
like a
It
ridiculously
seems to
long
default
form.
to 2 columns, where
Yeah.
before it would kind of figure out 3 for you and
Yeah.
put 3 columns in. Now, for some reason, it kind of defaults
Yeah.
to 2. And so
Now I
everything
get
ends up
to
being very
actually
long.
put in the breaks to make it look kind of reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to configure a few of those the first day, but other than that, I really haven't heard anything.
When were you upgraded, Laura? Were you
Just this
front end?
weekend.
Yeah, Friday. Amy told us that she did everything, so I was like, oh, I feel better now.
We identified them for you.
Yeah. We hit all those cow piles.
How long does the upgrade take typically?
They do it on a Friday
Yeah,
night.
it's overnight.
And it's
Yeah.
back up and running Saturday morning.
You just log off. and-
Weekend after Labor Day.
Have you found that it affects any of your customizations?
Well, they always say to be careful of that. That's why they give you the beta account so you can get in and test all your customizations, because they don't know what everybody's done in NetSuite, so they can't test your stuff for you. They can't know that it's not going to break something. So that's why they strongly recommend you get in ahead of time. If you have a heavily customized scripted account, you need to get in and test it.
So if we have a third party field service that has written the interface.
Well, they don't make interface change, they don't break, the existing interface, and they give you plenty of warning. Like they'll say 2 years in advance or a year and a half in advance that, in 2016.1, such and such is going to be phased out, so you have plenty of time to start moving your scripting over to a new format and stuff. And they don't change existing APIs. They'll add new ones, but they don't change existing stuff. So that shouldn't break. But the things that will be different is, are things like sometimes fields weren't available via scripting or other means before, and people would figure out some backdoor, sketch way to get to it. And then NetSuite will put in the real way to get to it. And sometimes that old stuff will be broken. So if you had some, weird backdoor route to stuff, sometimes that stuff will break.
We've done a fair amount of scripting and workflows.
Yeah, we haven't had any bad
over
side
a
effects.
number of years and really haven't run into issues when the releases come out that's causing some major heartache.
So we've had good experiences for the most part. Yeah.
Speaking of workflow, what do you think would be the appropriate time in the implementation timeline for teaming into the workflow and the analytics training?
I'd say before you really get started.
Workflow is, what we found out, Mike, is you're trying to define processes that made your company, NetSuite isn't built to operate in everybody's company the way companies operate, right? I mean, it's like any package, SAP or Oracle, and they have their main methods of operation. But you can twist it to fit your company. So as Amy's saying, I think it would be beneficial for you to know up front, because when you guys say, hey, NetSuite operates like this, we want to kind of take a little left turn before we come back.
When you're talking about that field that you don't want people filling in, with a workflow, you can automatically, you could make that field disabled for most everybody else, but if that's something like accounting needs access to, but you don't want other people touching, you can, in the workflow, you can look at the role and say, for accounting, leave this enabled, for everybody else, disable it. Now that's something you can very easily do in workflow. And you've got that up there right from the start. I would definitely get trained up on it before you really start your implementation, because I think it will really speed your implementation. You'll know what you can and can't do with workflows. So simplify.
Replicating data across other fields is something we use them for too. Like put it on this form, but we want it to show up on other areas, other areas.
Yeah, and our item records, like we use this, we don't get fancy. Our sales description is the same as our purchase description, is the same as our store description. And it saves people time, copy, paste, paste, paste. We, Deanna put it in our, or actually Jonathan did in our item consolidated form. Every time you fill in sales description, it populates all the rest. So, and we've got apparently our trained customers have been trained for the last 100 years that they expect to see our item numbers in the format of 6 dash, and then 5 more digits. And in NetSuite, it's much easier not to include the dash because it saves people a keystroke. So in NetSuite, the number is 6 1 2 3 4 5, whereas the customers expect to see 6 1 2 3 4 5. So they created a field on the item record that they want to be able to put on the website that shows it the way the customer expects to see it, but they didn't want to have to go type it in every time or copy and paste and put a hyphen in. So made it, Deanna made it so that you type in your item number and it copies it here, puts a hyphen in, and away you go. Just simple things like, just on the forms. Workflows are great for customizing as you move through forms, enabling and disabling fields, calculating stuff for you, validating fields. It's, really good for that.
And hopefully at some point we can have a meeting about it.
Yeah, we do want to do some.
We've been struggling.
Yeah.
with doing the workflows.
The 4 of us have all been through the basic and advanced workflow training in NetSuite, and we volunteered our services that we could do a kind of a quick in-house user group introduction to workflows to kind of get people up and running with it. So we were going to do that today, but we just didn't have really enough interest in the community to come to the people that are in it.
And when we to also supplement y'all's service, we could get Mike Krigler as well.
Yes.
Who he's a NetSuite solution consultant. He's an engineer here based in Fort Mill. He was at the last meeting. I couldn't make it this time. But, so if we had some topics or some ideas, we could make it interactive and have him shoulder some of the session. I'm volunteering him.
Fantastic.
We definitely be interested in that.
How about connectivity issues? Y'all run into that often where you're down?
If not, I think over the course of, we've been using NetSuite is an ERP since 2011, 2010, late 2011. There's only been one instance when we lost connectivity, and that was this year. There was some instance that was down for a little bit. But no, it's been wonderfully reliable.
And how are you connected to the internet? Just
We've got, you mean, what's our connector? We've got a fiber connection that's been for time.
thank you.
Not that that matters, but, I mean, it's
Okay.
pretty robust.
Do you know what?
I'll do it. Nobody else.
Capacity internet fiber?
What,
Like right now, we've got a 20 by 20 fiber.
yeah, and ours 20 meg fiber, same thing.
And we're debating whether, if we're going to this, and then we're also going to Office 365, so we'll have more web traffic with that, so we need to upgrade. But
Yeah, sure, I don't think we come close to pushing our 20 meg bandwidth at all, even with NetSuite. It's not been an issue.
like, you know where NetSuite hosts all their stuff?
The data center.
I mean, is that internally run, or are they?
The data center.
Then
We have
Yes.
a large partner, staff that does our data. So it's in Northern California.
What was the name of it again?
Satis. We've got another data center here on the East Coast as well. But it's all housed here in North.
Any other comments on this latest upgrade?
I mean, we can talk briefly. I mean, there was a lot of, I really like the UI changes, by the way. I like it a lot better than what it was. And there was substantial changes put in throughout some things on the accounting side to help us. But we saw things like the caching was an issue where they weren't clearing the cache when you reloaded your NetSuite instance or on your desktop or whatever.
PDFs.
really need
It
this.
wouldn't.
Yeah, it was seeing some of the stuff that had been cached up, they've gotten that fixed. What was some of the other?
It was auto-applying credit memos to the oldest invoices, regardless of your settings. You would like unclick auto-apply, you would have no invoices chosen, and you'd save your credit memo and it'd go and apply it to the oldest invoices, whatever it wanted to. So they fixed that. They were also able to give us a workaround for that very quickly, so that was good. That only bothered us for a little while, once we figured out it was happening in the first place.
Allocation of products.
Yeah, the product wasn't getting allocated when new transactions were put in some cases. Sometimes it would allocate, sometimes it wouldn't. That was very frustrating. And then you couldn't, like, sometimes you'd go and manually allocate it, and sometimes it would take, sometimes it wouldn't. I think there were multiple issues going on there. They've resolved all of those within about a week and a half. The worst, by far, that had the worst ramifications for us was that the changes they put in with the new addresses. They changed it so that the address records are handled differently internally in NetSuite, and you have to reference them differently. And one of the side effects we saw is that periodically, when it would go and you would touch a sales order for other reasons, and it would go in the ship to address on a customer. That sales order would change to some other customer's ship to address. Horrible. Sometimes the bill to address would change. It's horrible.
What alerted you to that?
We had a customer, a very nice customer, who emailed and said, "Hey, I only ordered one of this car. I got 3." And we thought, thinking warehouse, shipped him 3. And so we started researching, and his ship to address got put on, not just, it was on his transaction, it got put on 2 other transactions for other customers. And
Did you just query for that address across your whole database? or-
no, we went and looked at, because he told us he had all the information from the shipping labels. So it gave the reference number in NetSuite for, the transaction to look back at. And we looked up the transactions in NetSuite. We could clearly see on the system notes, that's the great thing on NetSuite, the auditing capabilities it has. We could see on the system notes where they were picking the order with the gun, and with the gun in the warehouse. And when it does that, so they're creating an item fulfillment in NetSuite, and it goes and marks the sales order as this line has been picked, right? But it hasn't been shipped yet, but it's been picked from the bins. And inherent in that is, you can see where he picked it, and then you can see where he, being the person who was logged into the gun, changed the address to somebody else's address, and you can't do that with the guns at all. And it noted in there the new context. I know that's pretty cool, by the way. They have now on the system notes, you can see the context that made the change, so you can see if it was in the user interface or via web services or CSV import or whatever. You can see how the change happened. That's really cool.
That's helpful.
But it's, you can see right there, it says web services, so somehow or another, when the gun went in to touch the order, it changed it.
So that's what caused it was when they picked it that caused the
In that
problem?
case, we had other instances though where it's just, that case, I'm picking it. In other cases, it was the billing of the transaction. Just, I don't know how, NetSuite fixed it. That's all I care about. They fixed it. So.
As Eddie said, you notify and act very quickly.
Yeah.
Recognize the implications of it, so.
So I guess from your all's opinion, does the goodness far outweigh the badness?
Overall, I always like the improvements that NetSuite makes. I mean, they can't always do all the enhancements that I'm personally interested in, but you can clearly see that they're always working to make the product better and more usable by the different groups that use it. I might not be all that involved in one personal vertical one particular vertical that they're really highlighting right now, but just knowing that they're always trying to keep it up to date and improving it is great. And I like the changes they put in general. New functionality, new capabilities.
Mike, probably in a full package release, a number of changes in the grand scheme of things are immaterial, but we've never had this volume in the past. It's always been one or two instead of maybe 5 or 6. So, think about the mass of software that's being released.
And it's such a huge system. I mean, I totally understand how they can't catch everything before it goes out the door,
Is it slower
Just
or
ask
the
Microsoft.
same? How does it?
We've had a couple people in the company come back and say, wow, it's so much faster. We've had other people say it's a lot slower, but that was Internet Explorer, we think, for the most part. Once we moved them off to Internet Explorer, we stopped getting it,
It got real
those slow
slow until we
complaints.
said, what browser do you use? Oh, I'm using IE. Okay. Stop, use Chrome, and that got real fast.
Yeah.
When will it be known what's in the spring release? How far ahead of time is that finalized?
When will you all know? When it's released. Because, we joke
When it's in
about it.
Julie's book.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We joke about it because, a lot of partners are extremely technical. Say, I'm reading in the user notes and the instructions in NetSuite, right, and help that, we should have all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that didn't make the release. So, we've had, and that happens more, more so than you can imagine, where it all gets pushed up into NetSuite from an instructional, and here's how you got to do it. But then those features didn't make it. They didn't make the cut. I'm not trying to be evasive or dodge it, but that's just what they, what they tell us. When it's in 15.1, they make the cut.
We'll start advertising it in
Right.
your NetSuite instance, though. I'm always amazed at how quickly after the last release that I start seeing information about the next one. I'd say within a couple months, they'll start releasing some of the information that'll be in it.
Sneak peeks will come out in February. They start releasing it in April. I think you'll see the sneak peeks, which are just the one-liner.
And oftentimes those are the ones that should have been in the previous and just missed it. And then, for whatever reason, they have to pull it because they found a material break or something doesn't work and get that thing sorted out and got it teed up for the next release.
And they'll update the release notes if needed to.
Right, they do.
Don't print a copy and not revisit them.
Right.
Yeah, they're always revising it, yeah.
Mhm.
You're exactly right.
It's a living document.
Mhm.
Oh, one good bug that I wanted to bring up, see if anyone else has seen it. It's like a preference what your emails get sent out as a PDF or HTML. And on our accounts, we have it all set to send out as PDFs. But for some reason, on some emails, like it'll still go out as HTML, even when I go into the customer and even tell it on the customer record, send out as PDF, and in like both places, because it draws from the preferences where it gets that setting, like the default from what I read. But
So you said it on the customer record and in the user's personal preferences?
it's really strange. Yeah. I haven't really seen anyone else have the issue yet.
There's one other thing I wanted to share, and this doesn't have to do with the latest update, but this is just something that we encountered in the last year or so that has really impacted our financials. So I want to mention it to you. NetSuite periodically goes in and reprioritizes transactions on the same day. From talking to the NetSuite support, and we went pretty high up the chain on this one to understand what was happening and why. They're trying to ensure that you're not inadvertently moving product out before you've moved it in. You know, because you can go and redate transactions and things like that, it's very easy to pull product out of a location before you've actually put it in, like I said, and then it has no cost, right? It's got zero cost and it messes up your books and everything like that because it didn't exist when you moved it. So they're trying to ensure that that doesn't happen by accident, that people don't accidentally do this kind of thing. So they go and reprioritize your transactions that you put in on the same day. So what happens is they've got, and it's in the suite answers, you can find the prioritization there. Inventory, and I can't remember the exact order, but it's like inventory adjustments in, and then item receipts, vendor item receipts, so purchase order product item receipts. Then you get into some fulfillments out, inventory adjustments out, things like that. The weird quirky thing is that customer return item receipts happen later. So what we encountered is that we were receiving product in from customer returns. So we did the item receipt at like 10 a.m., right? And we have implemented a process here where people say that the product is damaged, but we want to triage it and see if it is or not before we go to damage it out. So we put it into we receive it into a returns location. Somebody will triage it and things like that. Or if we know flat out that the people didn't say it was damaged, they said, they just ordered the wrong thing, wrong size, whatever, we're going to put it right back in inventory. So they will do an inventory transfer then from our returns location into our regular inventory location at like 1 o'clock, right? And which is all perfectly normal. Well, NetSuite goes in and reorders our transactions so that the inventory transfer happened before the item receipt of the product from the customer return. So it ends up with zero cost. And it was really messing up. Our accountants were freaking out on us. And we're trying to, so there's an enhancement to move the item receipts for customer returns up in the prioritization, but it's not something that you would intuitively know the NetSuite's doing to you in the background. And they have best intentions. Like we said, they're trying to keep you from hurting yourself, but in this case, it actually hurt us because we thought we were doing the right thing. We're receiving it in and then removing it, and so there is an enhancement to. There's another enhancement besides the item receipt moving up in the priority, but there's another enhancement to provide you with a preference where your system notes take priority over NetSuite's prioritizations.
Are you guys planning on using virtual locations? Or just having one standard like that? We use virtual locations galore in the system, meaning we got one physical location here, but we've got it broken up into multiple virtual locations. Like it's called location 1, location 2, location 3. It can all be sub-locations rolled up into here, all physically here, but they're broken out in NetSuite virtually, and that way we can channel inventory or set inventory aside for a particular sales channel. If we have one location, any sales channel can get to it. If we want to partition some inventory so that our e-com site always has inventory on hand, that mass doesn't take it because they're all over here. So we put a virtual location in for the e-commerce site. So we can put inventory there, and then the e-commerce site is the only sales channel that can pull from it. It's virtual. It's physically here, but virtually in the system. The system thinks we have two different locations. Does that make sense? Or
I don't know if we have a need for that particular thing. We are with MSI, our field service vendor. They've talked about when a
a service technician in the field needs a part, they're saying they would go ahead and pick either from their truck, which is a warehouse location, or if it's not there, they would pick a virtual warehouse, which just means just request warehouse. And then from there, you could do a transfer order from DC or generate a purchase order, to fulfill it. So that's the only sort of virtual warehouse that I think we've talked about so far. But we may, I don't know, we may want to reserve stuff in the future. I don't know.
I mean, it's how you, the purpose we use this for is how we protect inventory so that you don't have the general population pulling all from your inventory if you're trying to protect it for a particular sales channel to us.
I don't know for the new, we're getting ready to really gear up. For the first time, we're acquiring sort of a critical mass of used batteries and things from other customers. So we're starting a whole new rental, refurbish, rebuild sort of division. So I don't know if
Yeah, we gotta think about this. How is that different than just a separate location?
They're all locations in NetSuite.
It's not called virtual.
No. They're all just locations.
So how is the fact that it's virtual
It's
keep
virtual.
someone
box.
from pulling inventory from it who shouldn't be? Is that what I'm hearing?
The system won't allocate it to it, John. So if you have an order against product, if you, this is another.
It's as if they're two different physical
Yeah,
locations.
it's if they're two different physical locations. So if you have no inventory in location one and a bunch of inventory in location two, although it's physically sitting in the same building, it's in a virtual
It's
location.
virtually separate.
Any order comes against location one, it'll say no inventory available. So
if you had one group, I guess, group of salespeople, for example, that only access to one virtual
Right.
location, it would look like they don't have the available.
Right.
And we got sitting somewhere else.
which is another challenge for us then, because we've got demand and supply, but not supply in the right location. So, then we get into, well, we're keeping it over here because of potential order. We actually have a physical order, so then we make the move because.
So you're using it like for the name?
No, not for demand. I was saying it, if you have inventory spread across multiple locations, you may actually have demand against one location that has no inventory in it. So the order won't get fulfilled because it's saying, hey, I have no inventory against location one. So you actually then would transfer the inventory from, if you have it in another location that's available, you can transfer it into location one and the order gets fulfilled. So you could, we manage the demand across the location, so we're not losing out on sales because it's sitting in the same damn warehouse, but it's in virtual warehouse two, and the orders against virtual warehouse one or location. I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough.
We separated out based on like our resellers get a certain amount of inventory. So we have that separate from our regular inventory just so that we have just areas where they can order from a certain inventory once they run out, and we'll reorder for them in particular. Just a way to like kind of separate your inventory.
And protect what we ran into a lot of times. We had it all in one bucket because we started this way. Salesman Mike's working on an order, and if say we've got 10 in inventory, hey, I'm working with customer John on these 10 items. And I think I got the sale. Suddenly salesman Rick goes, oh, there's 10 there. I got a customer. I sell them out. Mike's already committed to John. Hey, I got these 10 items for you. Goes back to the system and goes, where the hell did my product go? Because it was taken by somebody else across another sales channel. So it's
We've
kind of
also
what
used
Laura
it
was
to
saying.
reserve products
protection.
for promotions. Like if we've got a customer that we do heavy promotions with, that we want, like we're doing a Black Friday kind of deal. We need to know that we've got at least 200 of this item set aside for them. We don't want them being sold out from under them.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm making this worse by trying to explain.
Yeah, I think I get it. For us, we basically purchase what we're selling, so we really don't keep inventory except on
Parts.
parts.
It may be interesting when you start refurbing things.
For the reserve
Set that
side,
aside.
it's different too.
How about negative inventory? Apparently NetSuite will allow that.
Yes, it will.
Is that where you're saying it won't for the costing?
Yeah, it really tries to help you out. So let's say that the way your transactions are dated, you've got a fulfillment for a sales order on October 1st, right? You had received the product in maybe September 15th, right? So you had the product, it fulfills it out on October 1st, and all the GL impact is happy and fine. Well, maybe somebody's going and doing something, they inadvertently changed, they don't realize they're on the date field of the item receipt for that product and don't realize they've changed the date now to 10/15. And, they were trying to put a memo in or something, right? And they saved the item receipt. Now it's redated to 10/15. So the product didn't come in until after your item fulfillment already happened. Netsuite's going to go back and recalculate all the impact. Every time you change a transaction, it goes back and recalculates impact all the way through. And so now it's going to go back and recalculate your item fulfillment. And the GL impact of that is going to be such that it looks like you had no cost on that item, right? If you were to go back and look at inventory valuations for as of that date, you'll see that you have negative on hand, or for October 2nd, you'd have negative on hand because it pulled some out, and the GL impact of your item fulfillment is at zero cost. Well, then when you go back and look at your item receipt for 10/15, the GL impact of that will show, it'll have all the impact that should have happened on the fulfillment. It'll have the COGS hit and sales and everything like that will be impact on that one item receipt, because it's trying to get all that, and that's what it's trying to put all that impact there for you and help you out and do the right thing because you screwed up. But you'll see that negative inventory there until the inventory comes in.
So at month end, you'll go out and you'll see negative inventories.
Now, one of the checks on the closing a period is you have to go back and review negative inventory. And if you want it to be there, you can leave it there like that if you want, but it makes you go in and review any negative inventory before you can proceed with a period close.
Yeah, something we've run into, different units of measure. We buy it as each and sell it as feet. So we bought 6 and sold 20. Now we got negative 14 units. I know what the cost problem is. We're trying to figure all that out now because we got that. I mean, that's like if you're buying cable,
right?
Wires.
Do you guys have units of measure set up in NetSuite then?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have it where your base unit is on inches, and then you've got the feet.
Yeah, there's a conversion.
But the problem is our vendor, we have to buy it one way and sell it another. So
yeah,
we're something similar with case sizes. We buy in cases, but we sell in inches.
Yeah.
And so you can set it up on the item record where
you define a case as 24.
Yeah, and your purchase unit is 24 packs, but your sales unit is each is a week. That's how we use it.
You'd have that now. I mean, we've been doing this for years. How do you buy it? Yeah.
I'm both showing off the new interface and doing something really quick that I had to take care of. So yeah, this is the new interface. So shiny. I do like the colors. Then the personalization.
I like the global search being in the middle of the top of the screen too.
And I've heard a lot of people have been telling me they really like how they have this to where it's not like next to the sign out. So sign out was right here. If you misclicked, you would sign out.
Oh yeah, I was always misclicking, either hitting the global search or hitting the, either sign out or the changing my role when I meant to just hit the global search.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that was a good change. Anything else you guys want to discuss today?
There's a financial analysis tool that we did a demo on. Forgive me, I can't recall the name. Was that a NetSuite product you recall? You were out of town. It was an excellent tool. It was really, really powerful. I mean, you could do Excel forwards and backwards. It would automatically fill the formula to the right without you having to do it. All kinds of neat stuff. But that was
the advanced budgeting tool.
Something like that.
Is that
Financial planning.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Do we need that after we see what NetSuite has out of the box? Do we want to add that or not? Pretty powerful stuff.
It's adaptive. what it really is, depth planning. We OEM it and call it NetSuite Financial Planning.
Yeah.
Very good tool. Really good from a financial perspective. It allows you to do a lot of
Yeah, tons of stuff you could do with it. Drop budgets in there from years ago. Oh, I mean,
slice and dice your data.
yeah.
Yeah, you could have it put in like the end budget, it would do straight line back or retro or whatever, or
Yeah.
whatever scheme, like quarterly or 13-week periods or.
We could keep Bill busy
Nice.
forever.
So,
It's a good tool.
But they, NetSuite does offer advanced accounting, advanced financials.
And our advanced financials module.
Okay, because I think we have that.
But that's not what that tool
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I
yeah.
realize that.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wait. How do we need it?
Do you
I
have any
mean,
experience with that, Julie? Any of your clients use it?
We may have something use it today, do not ask for support on it much, which is a good sign.
yeah.
Super
Endorsement.
friendly. It's it's one of those things where once you learn how to use it, it's kind of it's not doing it justice. It's kind of like those folks that can pick up Excel and do all kinds of crazy stuff in Excel, with spreadsheets. And I'm not saying that this is it. It's one of those types of tools that once you pick it up, it's kind of limit on what you do.
I mean, it seems like you could stop using Excel in some cases.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
I was totally impressed with it.
Right, and it's one of the things that they used to say is, they want to get all that functionality so you don't have to go to Excel.
Yeah,
You got the option to put it into Excel.
yeah.
But it's, we have a lot of companies that are in technology or software that are more of our high tech folks. I don't know why, but we have a lot of those folks that when they buy NetSuite, they buy that module, jump right into it.
Yeah.
So the configuration, it's a pretty slick tool.
I don't know how much it was. I'm not sure they told us. Do you have any idea ballpark?
There again, it depends on the number of users, what type of users they are. But I would say it's in the $12,000 to $20,000 range.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the 20,000 from the tip.
Yeah, it depends on how many users. The smaller ones, we don't have 1 or 2 users, they would be like 7 or 8, 6 or 7,000.
Hey, this is Chris Elroy, CFO. He's been busy trying to.
Hey, Chris,
double
we met you
the
6 or
floor.
7 months. I don't think you'd been here that long at the time, maybe.
7 months ago, I've been here
February.
about 2 years, probably.
Oh, maybe so. Okay.
He's been fighting a 401k audit battle. So after
Yeah, well, so first year we were required to have them all.
When
401k, and, no, I'm not.
Today's your deadline.
We filed the 5,500, which is fine, but my audit report is not going to be attached to it.
I just did the same thing.
They are, they want to go back to like 2008, 2009, and I'm going, okay, so. And there's nobody really in the building that really understands what happened in 2008 or 2009, so. We're trying to have to go back and find out.
Who is they, your auditors?
Yeah, they, for first year audit, they are required, they say, to go back
Your salary.
5 years, which I don't necessarily say only 24, more like 5 years. So that's been all right.
Do you have more than 100 employees in the plan? Yeah.
This was I think in 2007, we dropped all of having to have an audit team. This is the first year since they were required to have it.
Yeah. But they're not auditing transactions. They're relying on the
You want to talk about the next meeting? Just so that-
trustee or whatever.
Yeah, I always argue with them about this point because it's a qualified opinion. They basically render no opinion.
Yeah, I know what was.
And I'm like, you do a lot of work to basically say that you have no opinion. on
Right.
what
Right.
Who's your auditor? It's not McGladrey.
It is McGladrey. I used to work for McGladrey for 5 years, so. I switched all of our stuff over to McGladrey this year, so the whole process is good. But, I like this guy.
We want to talk about the next meeting real quick in case other people can't stay or don't need to stay to have the CFO talk thing. So we'd like to try to meet every quarter. So probably going to meet, say like January or February. I'd like to let things calm down after the crazy holiday season. So we're going to try and get something going, let's say early February. Is that usually a decent time of year for folks? Yeah.
Sure.
We'll need a break, so we'll come down.
You'll be right in the middle of your
Yeah.
implementation.
If anybody wants to
We'll come down to
volunteer,
cry in the shoulder.
if everybody wants to volunteer their location for a meeting place, feel free. It doesn't have to be here. We've done a couple of, we did the first several double radius. So I'm sure they'll open their doors again.
Yep.
We have another Julie that works for the outfitters, the
Outdoor khaki?
Mountain
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 khaki.
Khakis. Yeah, we need to get over to
There we
that
go.
place.
Yeah, I think she volunteered last time.
Yeah. So be on the lookout. We're going to try and get another meeting going there. And like I said, try and get the group recognized by NetSuite as a Charlotte metropolitan area user group.
Let's, if we can, set a date for that, and we have Mike push that back to NetSuite for all local NetSuite users. Try to
Okay.
join
Is
as
the
possible.
afternoon or morning is usually better for folks? We switched this one to the afternoon. You guys have a preference? All right.
I don't care.
Just work-
Laura, why don't you
That's
just
all right,
pick a date, pick a time, and we'll set it for that then and get that to Mike.
Okay, and any kind of posts I'll make through LinkedIn, so just keep an eye out. And we do have the announcements feature.
Yes, we do know.
Yes.
Well, Chris, any warnings or suggestions, or we talked about running parallel and the importance of that?
I would suggest you do that,
Yeah,
unless you feel 100% comfortable with what you
yeah.
are saying or doing.